Unfortunately, a recent survey by LendingTree found that almost 80% of Americans can no longer afford something that you and I used to consider to be almost an everyday item. Let's jump in and see what this is. But before we go there, I want to thank this video sponsor. It's Chapter. They are a Medicare advisor that's free to the consumer and helps you navigate the complexity and the important decisions that we all have to make regarding Medicare. More in Chapter later. Okay, so what is this thing that we now consider to be a luxury that used to be just a normal experience? It used to be something that even high school kids making minimum wage could afford to do this a couple times a week. So what is this? And the survey here starts off says, thanks to rising prices, most Americans now see fast food as a luxury and are eating it less often, according to this survey. Rampant inflation has forced millions of Americans to reassess their spending habits. And for many, that meant fewer trips to the drive-thru for that burger, burrito, or spicy chicken sandwich that they love, and even a change in how they perceived fast food. So what are the key findings here? And I think, this is an experience. It's unfortunately the American experience. This is as American as apple pie, is us cutting back on fast food. And if you think about before COVID, many of us would go out to eat maybe at, a somewhat nice restaurant once a month as kind of a celebration with our friends or a spouse or a loved one or a good friend. And then as prices started to rise, we lowered that down to maybe fast casual. And as prices rose up in fast casual, we traded down to fast food. But now 80% of us are saying, almost 80% are saying it's now a luxury. Let's look at what the key findings are. Okay. The first finding is Americans love fast food. Yes, we do. And not so good for our heart, but that's true. 3 in 4 Americans typically eat fast food at least once a week, but the majority, almost 2/3, say that they're eating it less due to rising prices. In fact, 2/3 of us report being shocked by the bill that we've gotten at a fast food restaurant. And I've had that happen to me a couple times just in the last month or two. Okay, let's keep going with these findings. But first, I want to thank Chapter for sponsoring this video. Chapter helps people navigate what can be a very complex situation, which is either when we initially start Medicare or each year when there's open enrollment. And part of the challenge is just getting access to good data. And I've met with the team. I've met the founder at Chapter. That's where they started. They started with the data and said, let's clean up the data. Let's make sure it's inclusive and it's correct. And then they structured their team so that their team, the people you talk to on the phone, can be an advocate for you as opposed to an advocate for the insurance companies where they get commission. So it's free to us. Chapter and other Medicare advisors get paid by the commissions. So it's important that the company culture and the structure is set up so that the advisors are working for you and they're focused on what's best for you. Okay, thank you, Chapter, again for sponsoring this. I'm super proud to be a partner with Chapter. You can find out more at this phone number or the QR code here, or I'll leave a link in the description and also a pinned comment to this video. Okay, next, let's look at this chart. How often do we go out to eat? And you can see almost half of us are going out, more than half of us are going out to eat at fast food restaurants 1 or 2 times a week. And, I hate to say it, it's not the healthiest thing for me, but I fall into that category, right? That 50% category. But what does the survey tell us? The survey tells us that Americans are opting for food at home, while 67% of Americans agree that fast food should be cheaper than eating at home. 75% says this is not the case. And when I was a kid, when I was in high school, I think it was cheaper than eating at home because, candidly, it's a lower quality food. But now that's not the case. It's quite a bit more than eating at home. 75% say that this isn't the case, that it's more expensive to go out. And surge pricing and tipping have left a bad taste in the consumer's mouth. almost 80%, 78% of Americans are concerned about surge pricing at fast food restaurants, and 72% admit we'd be more likely to eat fast food at off hours if there was a discount. And almost half of us, 44%, say that we've been asked to tip on fast food in the past 6 months, and 43% of us are saying, no, we're not going to tip on fast food. And I try to support people when I can. I know it's not only are we feeling the crunch of the economy, not only am I feeling the crunch of rising prices, but so are the workers at these stores. So I try to support when I can, but we are getting burnt out on that tipping culture. Another key finding from this report is not all fast food chains are rated equally, and that the apps that these fast food chains use are luring us in and are getting us to stop by more often. And Americans rank Chick-fil-A as the most high-end food chain, followed by Starbucks and Chipotle. And further, almost half of us, 46%, use apps for fast food establishment that entice us to visit more often. So what do we need to do? Well, one, I'm not so sure it's such a bad thing that we're eating fast food less often, right? As I mentioned earlier, and we all know it's not the healthiest food. It's not the healthiest choice, probably much healthier for most of us to cook at home. But the reality is after, commuting a half hour, 45 minutes or longer to work, doing the same thing after work, working 8, 9, 10 hours, picking up the kids, running them to their activities. Life is busy. And so having fast food as a fallback for those days we don't get to be the perfect parent and cook a healthy meal at home used to be a really good second option. But now we're more and more where that's not an option for us. So unfortunately, what we're doing is what stores are seeing, what fast food chains are seeing. We're cutting back on fast food, and we tend to be buying more things at the grocery store that make it easier for us to prepare food at home as opposed to um, going out to the restaurants. So many of us have found, Walmart, it's called the RTE category, ready to eat. Walmart has found that their ready to eat category, I believe Target has said the same thing, is one of their fastest growing categories in the grocery store. So as prices rise, I think we're all getting smarter about how to spend our money, and we're looking at the stores that we're going to. And both Walmart, Domino's Pizza, most fast food retailers and grocery stores are saying, you know what, the lower income consumer is very much getting squeezed. There is no more juice to squeeze out of the consumer. And unfortunately, who knows with these tariffs, but it seems logical to me that we're going to see higher prices for a while longer, driven in part by the higher tariffs. And that's just a reality of our world right now. So I think we're facing more of this in the future. So making good decisions is critically important now as it's ever been. I want to thank Chapter again for sponsoring this video. And if you're interested in making good decisions, YouTube says that this video of mine is the next one that you should watch. Let's see if they're right. Thanks for watching this one. Bye-bye.